On today's episode of Billiards Digest Live, we'll talk with Moscone Cup MVP, Sky Woodward. We'll also be chatting with WPBA Iron City champion, Kelly Fisher, as well as Shane Wolford, Moscone Cup hopeful. That and more on today's episode of Billiards Digest Live.
Welcome to the show. I'm Mike Pinozzo. This is Jason Bowman.
Mike, it's good to have you back here at the APA studio. It's been a few weeks and a busy few weeks that it's been, particularly with the Matchroom 9-ball tour, two big events on the 2023 calendar, the UK Open, the Spanish Open. What can you tell us?
Well, there's been a lot going on, of course, and it's had a lot of impact on the hierarchy and pool, right? So we'll start with the major that just concluded, the Spanish Open in Lugo, Spain. One thing that's emerged from the increase in major events on the World 9-ball Tour schedule is that every field is loaded with talent from top to bottom. Even with 256 player fields, the single elimination final 64 usually has all the top players. But from that point on, all hell has been breaking loose. Stingy 4-inch pockets and a tight break box have made it increasingly difficult for even the top players to run deep. One slip up and you're home early. In Spain, the mighty fell early and often. None harder than the pride of Spain, world number one, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. Carrying the hopes of the nation on his shoulders, Sanchez Ruiz crashed out in the round of 64, losing a heartbreaking match to Hungarian Oliver Solnaki when he rattled the 9-ball in the deciding rack. But that wasn't the only drama. The Spanish Open produced numerous gut-wrenching finishes with pre-event favorites like Josh Filler and China's double world champion Xiaoxing Wu losing early in hill thrillers. By the time the event was trimmed to 16, Jason Shaw, Albin Aushin, and American hero Shane Van Boening were also on the outside looking in. Van Boening had the misfortune of playing red-hot Moscone teammate Sky Woodward in the round of 32. Woodward got the better of that tight match, 10-8. A third American, Tyler Steyer, made it into the final 32, making the U.S. the only country to place 3 players in the last 32. Steyer won his first 3 matches, including an impressive 9-8 win over Taiwan's Ping Chung Ko, and won his first single elimination match before being knocked out by young Claudio Cacci. But while Van Boening and Steyer were out at 32, Sky Woodward didn't stop there. For the second time in 3 weeks, the two-time Moscone Cup MVP reached the semifinals of a 9-ball major, having also reached the semis at the UK Open. In Spain, Woodward was sent to what he likes to refer to as the getting stroke side of the bracket with a second-round loss to China's Jinhu Zhang. Woodward won 3 matches to earn his spot in the final 64, then won 4 more matches to reach the final 4, punctuated by a clinical 10-0 thumping of World Pool Masters winner Ping Ko in the quarterfinals. But in the semis, Woodward once again fell at the hand of Dang, 11-5. In fact, it was Dang who was the story in Lugo. The powerful Chinese contingent has been missing from the World Pool scene since the early days of the pandemic in 2020, but they showed their strength in their first event back, with the 36-year-old veteran Dang winning 8 straight matches by 3 or more games to reach the final. In a classic back-and-forth battle for the $30,000 top prize, Dang recovered from a 12-10 deficit to defeat 29-year-old Dutch player Mark Bijsterbach 13-12 in one of the most intense finals in memory. But while it was Dang who was the eventual winner, the buzz in the U.S. was all about Sky Woodward's impressive run. And following the Spanish Open, we caught up with the American to find out what's in the secret sauce in 2023 and what are his expectations going forward. Sky Woodward, welcome. Amazing run at the Spanish Open, following up on an amazing run at the UK Open. Tell me, obviously you got to be feeling really good about your game right now.
Yeah, for sure. Feeling good. I struggled in the beginning of both tournaments, but always, for some reason, these big tournaments, I'm a little bit of a a slow starter, but no, I'm feeling good, and I feel like I'm playing good. Um, been getting to play a lot, so yeah. I mean, shoot, it's nice to finally break through and get to the final day of one of these big events. Now it's just got to break through and get to the finals and win the tournament.
Yeah. So, you talked about, having struggles early on in these events. Does any of that have to do with, these are overseas events? Does it take you just a little bit of while for you to get comfortable, for you to get your bearings straight, for you to get the right sleep schedule? Does that play a part in it?
Maybe for sure. Yeah, probably does. But I mean, obviously, I could tell you I feel fine and I feel good, but probably do have jet lag and just not like 100% aware of it. I would say, but I feel good. It's just don't perform my best in the beginning, and I just get better every day through the tournament. So I would probably have to say it is probably jet lag.
Yeah. But you always refer to that as the getting stroke side of the tournament.
Yeah, the getting stroke side. Get to play more matches and getting stroke.
So then the semifinals, it all went south against Dang. All of a sudden your break wasn't working. You didn't get too many rolls. You missed a couple of shots here and there. What was that feeling like? Did you feel like you just couldn't catch back up?
Yeah, I was just waiting my turn to have a chance, and I mean, he played good, but I mean, like you said, I mean, my first four breaks, I break dry, and I felt
Right.
like I actually broke good. I hit them good, but the one ball wobbled out two or three times, and twice it hit the point. I just But then finally, my last break, I finally made a ball, but I had to make a really great out to get out, and I didn't get out, and that's what cost me the last game. But other than that, yeah, he missed. I feel like he missed like twice as many balls as me, and I mean, got away with it, got safe out of them. But it's part of pool. It happens like that sometimes, and congrats to him. He played great, and he did what he had to do. He won.
Yeah, it was a terrific event. A lot of upsets, a lot of hill matches. It was a lot of fun to watch, and it was great fun watching you there. Obviously, one of the questions on a lot of people's mind is, is this that breakthrough year that we've been waiting for out of Sky Woodward, and what's been the difference for you this year that has your confidence so high?
Um, I'd say I switched equipment and and everything, and I'm playing more again, and more big events, so getting to play the top players more often, and I think that's what's helping me with my consistency, because I always knew I could do it and I could beat these guys, but now I'm doing it more often, because I'm getting to play them more also, and I'm more consistent now, and I'm getting more and more used to my cue every time. So um, I just feel like I'm just gonna just keep going up.
That's great. So, you're still in Spain because they're following up the Spanish Open with the World Cup of Pool. You'll be playing in that with Shane. That a lot of fun for you? Do you like playing that Scotch doubles type format? It's kind of a mini team event, right? So, do you enjoy that?
Yeah, for sure. I love team events. Always have, and um, yeah, it's always nice to get to play with Shane. I mean, any pool player would really probably want to play with Shane
Yeah.
in an event if they could. So it's just nice to really get to represent my country and play as a team. Like, I grew up in team sports, so even though it's only doubles, it's only two of us. It's still awesome just to get to be invited to an event like that and play with Shane.
Yeah. You've looked at the teams. Who looks like, really hot teams to you?
I mean, China for sure. You got Wu, and then you got to think the Ko brothers for sure are favorite. Spain, they won last year, and they're two great players. And Philippines, but one of them two is going out first round. Crazy draw. I mean, there's so many good teams. I don't know. I think any team is capable of doing some damage in the tournament. If not, they all have a chance to win the tournament.
Yeah. Well, speaking of teams, you know, we're in the U.S. We talk about Moscone Cup all the time. It's got to be encouraging for you to look at this year's team and see it starting to take shape maybe a little bit. We've had some good performances by guys like Shane Wolford and a good tournament at the Spanish Open from Tyler Steyer. You know, how do you feel going into this year as Moscone Cup starts to get put together as Team USA? Start feeling better about your chances? Start feeling like your players are in a little better place now than they were maybe a year or two ago?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, like the last couple of years, we've had a lead going into day two, and day two that I think both times they beat us pretty good to come back, or had a lead going into day three. I can't remember, but yeah, I know we had a lead and we had chances. It's just we let them slip away and didn't keep the pressure on them. But I feel like, yeah, I mean, of course we have a chance, and maybe getting new blood in there is what we need. I mean, we'll see. Or if we don't get new blood in there, it'll be okay. I think we still have a chance, especially the new break format and the tight pockets. Seems like everybody's playing better,
Yeah.
and better results, and we just got to keep pushing. I think we're getting there. We're close. I mean, obviously, on paper it doesn't look like we can win, but we can definitely win.
Well, you've showed that in the past. You have 2 MVP performances. You've kind of earned that reputation when it comes to the Moscone Cup as being the top American player. And I think you've also become a little bit more of, taken more of a leadership role on the team. Is that something that you embrace? Is it something that you enjoy?
Yeah, I mean, I just try to keep everybody in their best mood, or whatever they need to play their best. I'm just there to like push them, and I'm more the guy that keeps everybody at ease in the practice room and don't stress, and because I'm always laughing and cutting up, so I'm always trying to keep them happy no matter what happens, and keep pushing. And then I push myself to show them that I'm not just gonna push them. I'm gonna push myself too to try to win the cup. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I try to do what I have to do to help them.
Well, you lead by example as much as anything, because when you go into that arena and you get that walk going around the table, I'm sure as a teammate, Team USA teammate, it's a pretty cool thing to see. So is this the year that then we get to see you snap off one of these major 9-ball titles, Sky?
I hope so. I mean, I'm right there twice in a row. I'm running out of events this year, though, so I got to hurry up and do it. But no, that's the plan. I mean, yeah, I mean, I want to win every tournament, so we'll see. I just want to, but got to win the first one first. So yeah, I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna keep pushing. I got third twice in a row, and next is got to get to the finals and give myself an even better chance to win. So we'll see.
Well, we'll look forward to that day. Sky Woodward, thanks very much for joining us. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, it's always good to hear from Sky Woodward, but even better to see him performing well in these last few events. So great to hear from him. And Mike, 3 weeks prior to the Spanish Open, you had the UK Open take center stage in London. A lot happening with that event. What can you tell us? A lot of the same world beaters in that event as in the Spanish Open. So what can you tell us?
Well, I can tell you that the U.S. contingent, again, showed plenty of moxie at the UK Open, with Woodward, Van Boning, and 23-year-old Shane Wolford breaking into the single elimination phase of the event and being the only country to place 3 players in the top 16. Van Boning fell to Eklund Kaci, while Wolford lost a 10-9 heartbreaker to Poland's Moscone Fortunski. But Sky Woodward once again charged ahead, reaching the semifinals after an impressive 10-3 win over world number 1, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. But like Van Boning, Woodward's charge was ended by Kachi in the semifinals, 11-5. Kachi, the reigning world 10-ball champion, would go on to take the UK Open title, his first on the Matchroom 9-ball stage, after an impressive 13-4 demolition of defending champion Josh Filler of Germany. Following his big win, the hulking 24-year-old Albanian offered his thoughts in an interview on the Dog It podcast in Windows Open with myself and Molina Mike Ortiz. Take a listen. Your run at the UK Open was impressive. You really, you had a couple matches that got to like 10-7 or 9-7, but you didn't go through the hill battles that you had to go through in World Pool Masters. At what point of the tournament did you think, boy, I'm really playing well. I got a really good feeling about this event?
The first couple matches, I didn't play my best. I had a few mistakes here and there, but I still get the win. But also the outside tables, I think the light is a little bit darker, and I don't really like it that much when it's too dark. I like the lighting. I like to see the ball clean. And when I won the match against Imran, it was a long match.
Yeah.
I was up like 4-0, and then he started coming back. But he actually took kind of too long in the shots and left me in a chair for like an hour. I asked for a shot clock, and then things changed it. And when I made a few mistakes with Imran match, but I said to Carl, like, tomorrow I'm missing a ball. So tomorrow is fresh day, 3 tables, whole TV, good lighting. I felt very comfortable and played very good from there.
You did. You took Shane apart pretty quickly right after that match against Imran. And you beat Shane at the World 10 Ball as well in the quarterfinals. Pretty comfortable, that match?
Yeah, I mean, if you feel good, if you feel like you're in the right form, you don't really care who your opponent is.
Yeah.
You just focus on playing right, and you know that if you play your game, nothing can go wrong.
You mentioned, it's really hard to go deep in any event, but to go back-to-back and land in a final from the Invitational that was the World Pool match to the UK Open, it's pretty phenomenal. When you started the year, Kachi, prior to your World 10 Ball victory, what were your goals realistically? Like, what was your mindset? What were you thinking that, hey, this is what I want to accomplish, in the first, let's say, 6 months of the year?
So 2021, I win the World 10 Ball. In 2022, I finished third. I lost a hill match. I was 9-7 up. You have to check the guy from Poland. He missed the ball, hooked me, blah, blah. He win the game 10-9. And I was very sad about that tournament. Congratulations to him. I won't blame anything about like that. But I think I played the 2022. I played better than 2021 and 2023, and
in
got third place.
2022, you didn't win a tournament in 2023, correct? And 22.
No, 2022. I finished third in the World 10. I said I think I played better,
right,
than 2021 and 2023 World Championship 10. And 2023, I came back and I thought 2021, I won it, second year, third place, and now I'm going for the first place again. And my mindset was going just for the first place.
Yeah.
Of course, you got to have the roads and everything. The final with Sanchez was 5-1 up for him. Everything could have gone wrong, just like a bad safety from my side. And, I'm lucky also to have this lucky shots also. Because a resave is not like a guarantee shot.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you say it because, people talk about your demeanor at the table. You're not very excitable. When you win, you just nod your head and, walk up and shake hand and give a little wave to the crowd. You're not a jump on the table type of guy. But you can tell by a conversation with you that you do like fun and you do have a lot of personality and things like that. So where does that come from when you're at the table? Where did that come from in your learning and your growing up and your attitude about how to handle yourself at the table differently?
I mean, it seems just me. I'm a little bit different when it comes to winning a big event. People usually celebrate, they jump on the table. And by the way, this goes to the people saying that I'm kind of heavy, I can't jump on the table. I can just walk into it. I don't really need to force myself to jump into it. So yeah, I mean, it's just not me. Like, so I mean, I might do at some point if I feel like it, but if I don't feel, I'm not gonna do it just to make a nice picture.
Yeah.
I like
know
it. Be
you can
authentic,
jump on
man.
the
Be
table
real.
'cause
Yeah.
I know you can jump on the table because you used to be a CrossFitter, right?
A CrossFitter, and I'm thinking to go back.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, but I just don't really want to touch this muscle right now. It seems to be very, very good.
We can't blame you with the success that you're having. You know, Mike
Yeah,
brought
the
it up
last
earlier.
3 events.
Yeah.
Last 3 events, World 10 Ball I win, World Pool Masters 2nd place, and now UK Open champion.
Yeah.
Well, you're making quite a stamp on the year, and part of that is making a run for the Moscone Cup, Kachi. We all know you weren't on the team last year. You know, is that a goal that you have your eyes set on, or is it kind of like I'm just taking one tournament at a time, and whatever happens at the end of the year happens?
No, every year the biggest goal of the year is to qualify for Moscone Cup. It's such a joy playing in the Moscone Cup. It's fun. It's lots of gives me. There is some extra pressure there. So I like the pressure. You know, this is why we love the game, the adrenaline and everything. Sure. And I played 2018 the first time, and I was the youngest ever. And then played 4 years in a row. Missed it last year. I wasn't happy about it, but also I didn't do too much last year, so I won't blame anybody. And this year I have a really good start, and I'm looking good to make the team. I'm going to try my best to qualify by points.
Well, congratulations on scoring the Kachi interview. I understand he's a tough one to get.
Yeah, he's Eklund Kachi marches to the beat of his own drummer, and he's got a reputation as, you know, maybe showing up, maybe not when he's supposed to. But I really like him a lot. He's a really genuine, cool dude, and just, you know, a monster of a player having a monster year.
That he is, and you know, you can see that interview in its entirety. I think you said on the Dogging It podcast. You go to Facebook, you search Windows Open.
Windows Open.
You can hear you and Melina Mike have the entire conversation.
It was a fun chat
with Kachi there. So interesting stuff. So back-to-back majors, 2 huge events. Major ramifications on the World 9-Ball Tour rankings. Let's talk a little bit about those rankings and how things sit currently.
Yeah. Well, as you can see, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz is still on top. The world rankings are based on a 2-year running point total. But you can see Eklund Kachi and Jinyu Dang have both jumped into the top 5 solely on having won the UK Open and the Spanish Open. What's really kind of impressive there to me is that Sky Woodward is number 3. And that's over a 2-year period, and he hasn't won any of the titles.
Right.
So that to me shows how consistently well he's playing in all these events.
Good news for Team USA fans.
It is good news for Team USA fans. Yeah, and then, you know, Fedor Gorst is in the top 10. Shane Van Boney's just outside the top 10 at number 11, I believe. So, you know, a lot of the Europeans stacked up in that top 10, right?
7, as I look at this list, 7 out of 10 are Moscone hopefuls. The other 3 would be out of that USA-Europe conversation. Unfortunately for us Team USA fans, 6 of those 7 are potential representatives of Team Europe. So, but
well,
like
they can only have 5 on the team, so it can only get so bad,
right? Right. Some good alternates, though. Somebody doesn't make the trip. But like you said, Shane Van Boning just outside those top 10. So, you know, hopefully a few more events in and we see some more American representation there. But again, a lot happening with these last 2 events. A lot of things changing.
There are a lot of things changing. But, you know, the UK Open and the Spanish Open weren't the only events that took place last month. There were 4 other smaller ranking events in Europe and the US that allowed some players to tack on valuable points, none benefiting more than Shane Wolford. The Virginia native won his first World 9-Ball Tour ranking title by topping the 147-player field at the Chuck Markulis Memorial in Sacramento, California. Wolford went unbeaten and defeated Sky Woodward 11-9 in the title match. The win, coupled with his UK Open success, vaulted Wolford into the number 3 spot in the US rankings. The top 3 spots earn automatic spots on Team USA. Wolford sat down with us earlier to discuss his recent success and his Moscone Cup chances. Shane Wolford, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey, Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me. I'm doing good.
Good. So you're at home now, coming off a couple of big events, UK Open. You had a really nice run, took down Mario He, and then you go, come back home, go to the Markulis and snap that off, beating Sky Woodward in the final. Tell me about those runs. How did it feel?
Well, this trip to London felt really good. I had a very flight. Didn't lose any luck like last year. So that was nice. Everything went really well. Played good. Had a little mental that cost the last match there.
Yeah. Well, you learn a fair amount being on that stage, having those things those type of situations come up. You're always better for it the next time you play. And then tell us about the Markulis Open. You went, undefeated through that and played really well. What was, how did you feel through that tournament?
Well, to begin the tournament, I started off pretty slow. I made a bunch of silly errors and balls that I normally miss. It wasn't until the final 8 I started to really gain my confidence and start playing well. Started breaking in the final 8, and then I just kind of sailed from there. Felt really good with that. Appreciate Oscar inviting me.
Yeah, it was a great tournament. And, obviously that win and the UK Open, had everybody talking about Moscone Cup points and Shane's, in contention for Team USA. But after the Markulis, you said that, the Moscone Cup isn't why you play pool. Explain that to me and explain what you're thinking in terms of the Moscone Cup or your pool career.
Well, the Moscone Cup is a bonus, and as you know, it's something that you'll have a privilege to do to represent your country, and it's really cool. And it's been a kind of a goal to make it, but not the main goal. The main goal is to be the best player that I can be and keep improving every day, not just in pool, but in life.
You seem to have a lot of support from, the other American players, Skylar and Shane and people like that, wanting you to progress and get better and be that, another great teammate on Moscone Cup. What's that feel like? I mean, you grew up watching these guys play and idolizing them, I'm sure. What does it feel like to kind of be part of the team?
Oh, it feels great. I consider them all friends. Stay in contact. Especially me, Billy. Those are two of my best buddies. I really enjoy being there for me and get out for me and wishing me well. It helps a lot.
I have a couple of questions for you here from fans that we had online, when we promoted your being on the show. So I'm going to read a couple of these questions to you, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Rick M wants to know, are you ready for the Moscone Cup crowd?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, of course, it's going to be something a little different than anything I've ever experienced. But I think that my nerves, I can handle it. There'll be some hecklers over there. So.
There'll be plenty of hecklers.
Yeah. So it's going to be fun. It'll be a good experience.
So Donald W. wants to know what you think about the benefits of a strong juniors program and a solid practice regimen.
Yeah. So in the States, my parents are part of the JIC with Rockana, and the amount of progress I've seen through the kids that play is
pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome watching the kids, where they start and now where they are.
Christopher wants to know, how did your dad influence you?
My dad, he actually got me into pool at a very young age, 6 years old. Dad was in the APA and stuff like that. And so I loved it. Kids, when it was 8, they were trying to qualify for trips to Vegas. I was up watching everybody, all the other kids were going to sleep. I just loved the game. just watching the balls roll. I played ever since.
Got a good one for you here. Ryan wants to know, of the past cooks at the Wolf's Den, who was your favorite?
That's a hard one. Ryan was definitely a good one. We still had him. There's been quite a few good ones, and been a couple not so good, but we could weed them out. So
Well, we know you're cooking this year, and looking forward to seeing your future unfold. I mean, you're still young, you still got a big future ahead of you, and we're looking forward to I certainly expect you to be part of Moscone Cup this year, so we'll be looking forward to that. Shane Wolford, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Always cool to hear from another Moscone Cup hopeful. Now, I know we took a look at the 9-ball tour rankings. Let's take a look at the Team USA and Team Europe Moscone Cup rankings at this point in the year and have a little discussion about those.
Yeah,
Mike.
well, you can see Sky Woodward obviously on top there, and Shane Van Boning. They're always going to be kind of 1 and 1A on the list. Shane Wolford in a solid spot at number 3, followed by Billy Thorpe, BJ Ussery. Tyler Steyer is just outside that top 5. And so, there's a lot to play for going forward. There's, some big events coming before the end of the year. And, there's a lot of opportunity for these guys.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Shane Wolford and where he's at now. Obviously, we just heard from him, sits solidly in 3rd place. But like you said, still several events to go. A couple other players that are creeping in.
Yeah.
I don't know if Shane is planning on playing in some of these other events, particularly overseas. Is he solidly positioned to be on the team this year with where he's at right now?
He certainly sounded like it, didn't he?
Love the confidence.
Yeah, you love that. I think that he's pretty solid. I think he's pretty solid even as a captain's pick.
Okay.
I think that he was right on the fence last year. And I think with another year of seasoning and the obvious success he's had this year, I think that even if he's not in the top 3 in the rankings and points, he'll get one of those 2 wildcard spots. He's already said that he's not going to be playing in the European Open, and I'd be doubtful that he's going to play in the Asian Open, but he'll play in the U.S. Open and other events in the U.S. And I think as long as he stays sharp, I think that he'll be a pick for that team.
And still holding on the list at number 5, BJ Ussery, who we talked to in the last episode of BD Live. Another one that's not really traveling overseas to some of these bigger events. What is the realistic odds of him landing on Team USA?
I think realistically he's got to get in points. And if he doesn't go to the Asian Open, if he doesn't go to the European Open, he's really bankrolling his chances on the U.S. Open in October.
Got to make a real
He'd have to
deep
make
run.
a deep run there and score some big points, which means finish really deep in the money.
Right.
So tall order, but he's a seasoned player. He's got a lot of confidence in himself. He's playing well this year. I hope that he's at least given it a serious whack.
Okay. And you mentioned Tyler Steyer sitting at number 6 on that list. We would expect him to continue to rise. He is one that has been traveling overseas. Yeah. He's been at just about every event. So, and he's one that we've seen in the Moscone Cup year after year.
Correct.
So if for some reason doesn't make those top 3, you would
He's
think
a pretty
that the
good
captains
chance.
like Tyler as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's take a look at Team Europe a little bit now. A little bit different perspective for these guys. But,
Yes,
lots to
Sanchez
choose
Ruiz. You see Eklund Kachi jump all the way up to number 2 on the heels of that Spanish, the UK Open win.
Yeah.
And Jason Shaw's number 3, Fedor Gorst right behind Jason Shaw at number 4. And, I got to believe that Fedor Gorst is going to be really drilling for that 3rd or 2nd automatic spot because he doesn't want to leave things to chance. He did that last year and he got left off the roster. This year, I think he's really going to go for it. I'd be really surprised by the time the Asian Open comes around that he's not in that top 3 in points and doesn't get an automatic spot. And Jason Shaw, whether he's top 3 or not, he's going to be on Team Europe.
They love him over there in
They
London.
love him over there.
He's a
He
fan
plays
favorite.
well. So I think that he's an automatic wild card if there is such a thing.
Boy, it'd be tough to have to pick between like a Josh Filler, who's not on that list at this
Correct.
point, and Fedor Gorst, and
Josh Filler.
lots of options there. You don't even
Albin
see
Ocean's
Albin
on
Ocean in
there,
the
yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
So much to choose from.
Right.
Niels Fine. I mean, it's just a wealth of talent there for Team Europe, waiting to try to make the team. Absolutely, some tough choices. So the World 9-Ball Tour, not the only thing happening in the pro pool circuit the last few weeks. You've got the Women's Professional Billiard Association, their big event in Alabama.
They played in Birmingham, Alabama, and put their skills to the test at the Iron City Billiards event in Birmingham. And Kelly Fisher rekindled her love of that city with her second win there in the past year. If you'll remember, Fisher earned a gold medal at the 2022 World Games, which were also held in Birmingham. At Iron City, Fisher had to battle back from an early loss to win 8 consecutive matches. In the title match, Fisher upended unbeaten Christina Tkach 10-7 to earn the title. Also making waves in Birmingham was American Kaylee McIntosh, who posted a solid 4th place finish in a great international field. Back home in the UK, Kelly talked about her second title of the year and about the state of the women's game. Let's listen. Kelly Fisher, live from Scotland. Kelly, welcome.
Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Fantastic. Great to see you, and congratulations on your win at the Iron City Billiards WPBA event in Birmingham, Alabama. You played great, although you lost to your good buddy Yuki early on in that tournament and spent a lot of time on the loser's side. I know you don't like to spend time there, but it kind of helps you get in stroke, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Nobody wants to go on the loser's side so early on, that's for sure. But I had a really tough match with Yuki. It was a great player, so it was a tough draw early on, and it could go either way. The only thing I was upset with was I was 7-3 up, and I lost 8-7. So she played great in the end. Put me on the loser's side. I certainly was playing well against her, but certainly got more and more stroke as the tournament went on. And I felt that, I was doing very well throughout, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Final match, you played Christina Tkach, who's been playing really well lately. It was an extended race, tough match throughout, really kind of even all the way through 6-6, 7-7, and then you were able to pull away at the end. Tell me a little bit about that match, what you remember.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I was doing great. I had no pressure, it felt to me, because I'd come through the losers side. I played 5 matches back-to-back on the Saturday. This was my 3rd or 4th match on the Sunday. And I'm like, right, you're here now, just one more to go kind of thing. I started out well, but I couldn't get her off my heels. I mean, she just really kept coming back. It could have, leveled it and gone ahead of me, but I managed to keep pulling away from her. And at the very end, I managed to get 2 racks ahead, and that's real, really.
Yeah, great. This is your second title of the year. You won the Fairfield Invitational earlier in the year. And, you're probably the only player I can say this to, but, 2 titles this year, but you've had a couple of 5ths and a 9th, and then I look at last year where you won 6 titles in 13 events, and you were out of the top 3 maybe 2 or 3 times. I wouldn't call that a slump, but what's been a little bit of the difference this year for you consistency-wise? Is the depth of the fields getting stronger and harder? Are there tougher matches than there were a year ago? How do you analyze it?
I think it's a bit of everything, to be honest with you. I mean, after lockdown, or should I say during lockdown, that gave me the opportunity to just focus on me, myself and my game. I got in good shape. I practiced every day religiously and worked out, did cycling, all sorts. I didn't have to worry about any of the outside things like I've got my own pool roof and, other things going on. I was in lockdown. I to just get a focus on pool, which was a long time for a long time. So I think, coming out of lockdown, I was all guns blazing, and I come out of the gate great, back-to-back events, and confidence beats confidence. I went on to keep winning. And once I lost a couple, it was inevitable. Then you question a few things. Since lockdown, I certainly felt it improved my game. I think I'm still there. We have had some Taiwan players, Asian players coming in to give it a stronger feel. We couldn't come for the first 6-8 months of after lockdown. post-lockdown. Right. So I think that has a slight, of course, if you go social review, like I did in that Predator event early on, to lose, and that could have been a final. So I know nothing wrong. I'm still playing at top level. I still win any event, thank God. However, since out of lockdown, it's impossible to keep that practice up because we're traveling so much. It's impossible to keep the fitness up and eating healthy because we're traveling so much. You have to start adjusting. And I still feel I'm playing. It's just like I said, once you got the role, it's great. And hopefully I'll up again, but it's getting tougher. And I'm looking forward to when the China players come in. That will be a test.
Yeah, well, a lot of the European players, Asian players back into the mix, bodes really well for pool around the world for the women. Give me your assessment of pool for women in the U.S. I mean, it's been 5-6 years since a U.S. woman won any title of any significance. How do you assess the women's game in the U.S. now? A lot of juniors coming up playing really strong. What does it look like to you? And what can we do better?
I think pool in the U.S. has certainly taken, since lockdown's finished, has certainly, not peaked hopefully, but just improved immensely. We've got many more events, thanks to WPBA and Predator. Next year is going to be a full calendar. I've heard WPBA, we've got possible 8 to 10 events, and then we've got Predator on top of that. So the tournaments there, America's certainly stepped up to the mark when it comes to events. Player-wise, I certainly think you've got some fantastic juniors coming. We've got Savannah Easton, the young woman. We've got Sophia Mass. Others, I don't want to be out. So many other great players. Really, there's so many youngsters coming through with juniors, which is fantastic to see. I think if I had to evaluate what America could do to improve that even more, would be to have, some kind of boot camp academy, like some other countries. Certainly the UK, unfortunately, don't have that. But some European countries will look at the Polish men's team. We will look at Austria, Jasmine Ocean with her brother, and many other players, etc. Coming through, good female players also on the horizon. And then we look at China, Taiwan. They've got some great players, as we know, but Hong Kong, they have their own academies where they can training facilities. And that would be awesome to see in America, just to give these kids a base and a starting point and a guidance, if you like. However, I do see their parents, and their parents are religiously taking them all around the country, all around the world, to make them as best they can, which is great to see.
Yeah, you need that family support. It's so important, and a lot of the juniors in the U.S. really have a great family system around them, so that's great to see.
It's important, Michael. I mean, I was very lucky to have that. My country never had the support put in place for anything like what some fortunate other countries have. So I was very lucky to have my parents and my coach, Lionel Payne, that could, really, growing up, push me to excel to the best I could. So you need that.
So tell me what it is about Birmingham that makes you such a tough player to beat. I mean, you were there at the World Games in 2022 and won the gold medal. In fact, the woman you lost to in Birmingham this last tournament, Yuki from Japan, she was your roommate in Birmingham as well. So there must be something about Birmingham that makes you just hit the ball straighter.
I know, tell me about it. Or get a bit of luck on my side, whatever it may be. But yeah, can we go there more often? That's all I can say.
It's nice and hot and sticky, right?
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, I love the World Games. Obviously, that was just a dream come true. And then, to go back and be in the pool room, didn't expect anything as such, but great pool room. I was absolutely amazed at Iron City Billiards, first time ever there. So really enjoyed it. Then the owner, Michael, fantastic guy, put on a great event, and I look forward to going back. Hopefully, the lucky child can keep on rolling there. Yeah,
that's fantastic. Well, Kelly Fisher, thanks very much for joining us. Continued success to you. We know we'll see you in the winner's circle again really soon, and we appreciate your spending some time with us.
Thanks, Michael. It's always a pleasure. And thanks to everybody watching. I'll see you guys soon.
Okay, bye-bye. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, it's great to have a class act like the Hall of Famer Kelly Fisher here on the show, and congratulations to her and all of her recent success with the WPBA Tour. She's been doing it for a long time, and really great player there, really great for the game. So on to another class act, Mike. We're going to change things up for you folks a little bit. Introduced on our last episode of Billiards Digest Live, Coach's Corner with our good friend Jeremy Jones. We've got another segment here with Double J, going to teach us a thing or two on the table.
I'll be watching because I need some help.
Take some notes.
Hello everyone, I'm Jeremy Jones and welcome to another edition of the Coach's Corner. What we're going to be going over today is aiming with the stance and maybe kind of forming your stance at the same time. There's some essential things in the stance when it comes to aiming with the stance that we need to learn about, and it's again something you can rely on. So first off, we're going to go over what is the shot line. What I've got set up here is the ghost ball, which most people are very familiar with. The ghost ball is just simply a ball set up that gives us a pretty good idea on where to aim. So you can see the 6 ball here is set up kind of like a dead combination on the 13 into the corner. So the shot line is basically just the center of the cue ball set up to the center of the 6 ball, basically to replace the 6, which tells us that's the correct contact point to pocket the 13. Now, when we talk about the shot line, a lot of people really discuss from the cue ball to the 6 ball. And that's where, that's a good thing, but we need to kind of extend that a little bit. And what I mean by that is, let's look on the other side of the cue ball and try and have the same line that we have from the cue ball to the 6. That is the same shot line, but it's extending on this side of the cue ball, which is very essential for learning how to aim with the stance. So what we have here, again, is just an extended shot line. So when we find the extended shot line, what we're trying to start doing is we're going to try and start concentrating on the head and the hand. And what I mean by that is we really want those two things in line with the shot line. We'll see a lot of players kind of have the head over, the hand to the side, and the main reason for that, I think anyways, is a lot of times players are thinking about space for the cue stick. So if you understand what happens with the stance and again the shot line, you'll realize, and we'll learn in a moment, that space is kind of easily made when getting into position. But what we want to really concentrate on again is the head and the hand. You can see they're all in the line. Now the right foot is a little right of the line for the right-hander to start, but we'll address that in a moment. So once you get in position with the head and the hand, you'll see a lot of players be very square at address. And you see me kind of putting the cue stick down. Now, I was lucky that I had some help when I was younger. And very advised to put the cue stick down for a couple weeks. And the reason why is when you talk about like the ghost ball or any kind of aiming, centering up the cue stick is very important. Plus, I start to learn a visual of what the shot line is. And it just makes it easy to start seeing the shot line in a short period of time without putting the cue stick down. Another big advantage of putting the cue stick down is a lot of times when we get down on the ball trying to hit center English, we're a little off and our eyes will fool us. So when you put the cue stick down from above, not only does it start to teach you the shot line and a lot of good pieces along with it, but it actually teaches you center ball and something you can't really get the perspective when you're down on the ball. So again, the head and the hand aligned in the shot line. Now we're going to go a little further. So once we've identified the shot line, and again, you'll see a lot of players very square here off the ball, what happens is they step the right foot into the shot line, the back foot, and then they step into the shot going down the shot line somewhat with the feet. So the back foot, we wonder where in the back foot should the shot line be. And most players, most people, you're going to have the cue stick kind of fall over the big ball of your foot. The big ball of the foot is the biggest balance part in our body. That's why, like when we throw a ball, it kind of goes over that foot. When we swing tennis, anything we do athletically kind of goes over that balance point. And what I mean by that is once we get the right foot in the shot line, now the cue stick is going to want to hover, the backhand's going to want to hover over that right foot, which will keep us pretty much in line with what we're doing. So again, head in hand. Don't worry about the right foot. We're just trying to establish the shot line. And then again, once we step in, the right hip kind of clears and we easily make space for the cue stick. So don't worry about getting it to the side and worry about space as you're stepping in. That will kind of automatically happen. Now the other one I want to go over is a little bit the stance or stance options. So again, you'll see a lot of players very square at address. They find the shot line and they step in and they come into the shot. Well, if you've ever watched me play, I do it a little bit differently. I never really felt comfortable with the stepping into the shot line. I never really felt like I could get that consistent. So what I did is I eliminated the step into the shot line. What I tell people is go down and find your shoulder angle that you shoot with. Try and come up off the ball with that shoulder angle as we're trying to get into that shot line. Now, when I put the cue stick down, you'll see my head and hand are still in this line, just like the people that start squarely, exact same position for the head and hand. I just always felt like I was a lot better doing one step versus two. I could be a little more consistent. So again, I kind of roam over here. I never really set the right foot until I'm very happy with it. Very easy plant. Now this is again where you want to make more of a vertical move at the ball. You pick the cue stick up, you come down, and you'll see it's kind of like a little vertical slot you have everything in. So again, head and hand, I can't stress it enough. Don't worry about the back foot. The back foot will be placed here momentarily. Once we like it, we step into that and we come down towards the target. Or again, you could do it a little more like I do it, eliminate that first step. Get the head and hand behind the cue again, right? Find your shot line, plant the right foot, and come right towards the target. Now again, that last phrase I said is important as well. We see a lot of players get kind of boxed up and go backwards with the right foot. Just like throwing a ball, we always want to go towards the target. We always want the energy going in a positive direction. So with those little handy tips, you'll have more of a concrete way to aim, something you can rely on. And we'll go through the process here and shoot this 13 ball. So again, I kind of know what the ghost ball is, a lot of years. I put my cue stick down for a little confidence. I come into the shot. And then again, just trust your aim. The worst thing we can do, or worst habit we can do, is start adjusting when you're down. So try to aim with your stance and you'll be a lot more solid.
Love me some Jeremy Jones.
For sure.
And I'll tell you what, I would love to have him as my Scotch doubles partner.
I bet you would. Can't go wrong with double J.
You like Scotch doubles, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I hope you've got your alarm set early this week because the World Cup of Pool is going on right now in Spain and it's on DAZN.
Right.
And it started yesterday. And the World Cup features 32 two-player teams representing 31 countries. It's true Scotch doubles with players alternating every shot. This year will be the 16th World Cup of Pool, and there have been some classic matchups over the years. Fittingly, the first World Cup in 2006 was won by the legendary pairing of Filipinos Efren Reyes and Francisco Bustamante. The Americans have fared well over the years, reaching the final 3 times and winning in 2008 when Shane Van Boening teamed with Rodney Morris to capture the crown. This week, there's some really sexy pairings as well, like the Ko brothers of Chinese Taipei, Johan Chua and James Aranis for the Philippines, Jia Xingwu and Wang Can for China, and of course, Van Boening and Sky Woodward for the U.S. Shockingly, defending champions Francisco Sanchez-Ruiz and David Alcaide of host Spain didn't make it past the first day, losing the opening match to the Philippines. The American duo of Van Boening and Woodward, runners-up in 2017, will look to avoid that same fate when they take on South Korea in their first match tomorrow. $60,000 awaits the winning team. And Jason, you know, a lot of fun that event is.
It's a great event. I was blown away when I saw the early score. I think it was the first match played at this year's.
It was the opening match of the tournament.
To see FSR and David Al-Kaidi, the defending champs, knocked out right away. But like you said, I mean, there's a lot of high-end talent from all over the world in this event, and it was just a little shocking because kind of they're on the home turf, right?
They are, and they were, you know, they had high hopes, and they unfortunately drew Philippines in the first
one
round,
of the other
which
teams
was,
you just mentioned, yeah.
which you know was an quote unseeded team, so they drew into a really bad spot. In fact, Spain, as the host country, has 2 teams, and the second team, if it wins its first match, plays the Philippines in the second round.
Ouch.
So the Philippines could be persona non grata in Spain really quickly. But there's some fantastic teams you can see here by the list of players. Again, you know, China with Wu Shaxing and Wang Can. You've got Germany with Joshua Filler and 19-year-old Moritz Neuhausen. Yeah. Austria, which has won twice with the same pairing, the only country to do that, with Albin Aushin and Mario He. So there's some great ones there. We got
the
Poland,
Co-brothers.
Got the Co-brothers. Yeah, you got Poland with Viktor Zielinski and your buddy Konrad Jusichin.
Right.
Well, I dare you to say his name 3 times fast. So yeah, there's
Biesterbach and Niels Fein playing
Niels Fein and Mark Biesterbach, who just finished second in the Spanish Open. So
tough
you know
field.
they're playing a hot hand, you would think.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tough field, and
you gotta love our boys' chances though. SVB, Sky Woodward. You know, one of the things that I like about World Cup of Pool is, like you said, the matches or the team pairings, the alternate shot, and you know a lot of these guys don't typically play in this format. Right. So you gotta like a couple of guys that have done it several times over the years at the Moscone Cup, not to mention kind of where they fell on the bracket. You mentioned they're starting out tomorrow against South Korea. They win that match, they will play the winner, I believe it's of Japan and Italy. So again, there's no easy paths, but sometimes there are a little bit easier of paths.
There are easier paths. It is still just a race to 7 winner break. So, you know, you can find yourself in a bad spot really quickly. Team USA last year lost in the semifinals to Singapore, who you would not have expected to be as strong as they ended up performing last year. But it's kind of one of the things that makes it such a fun event to watch. So if you get a chance to check it out, it's really worth watching.
2017 was the last time those guys finished runner-up, huh?
Correct.
Sky, okay. Wow, time flies. Time flies. Seems like it was just yesterday to me. So a lot of interesting stuff happening, like we said, over the last few weeks in terms of results. Not the only storylines out there, though. There's some other interesting things that we want to talk about before we end the show today. Got a new segment on tap called Spot Shots for you guys, and Mike's got some insider things that we want to talk a little bit about.
You know, some little few hot takes here and there, and we'll start with a brother story. Look out for the coming of the next co-brothers. The Spanish Open gave pool fans a really good look at Eklund Kaci's 17-year-old younger brother, Cledio. Primarily a snooker player in Albania, Cledio made his first international 9-ball appearance in Spain and promptly ran unbeaten to the final 16 before bowing out to American Sky Woodward. But the signs of stardom are there. He's the spitting image of his 2-time world 10-ball champion brother. His demeanor, his gait around the table, his skills, and his size. They like to call Ping Yi and Ping Chung Ko Big Ko and Little Ko. There is no little with the Kaci brothers. It's Big Kaci and Bigger Kaci. So Jason, it's like they say, you know, if it walks like a Kaci and talks like a Kaci and shoots like a Kaci, it's probably trouble for the other players, right?
Nice, well done. Well, if things don't work out on the pool table for those guys, I'm going to strap some shoulder pads on, get them a helmet. We're going to get them on the offensive or defensive line for an American football game, because those guys definitely have the size. But very cool to see kind of pool being a family affair for a couple of groups of brothers out there.
It's great stuff, and he seems like a really cool dude as well.
Yeah. So what else do you got on your mind this month? Spot shots. I know there's some other things out there you want to talk about.
Well, I got a question for you. Is Skylar Woodward now America's best pool player? No knock against Captain America Shane Van Boening, but between his legendary Moscone Cup performances and his back-to-back semifinals and 9-ball majors, Woodward is starting to live up to the promise American pool fans have seen glimpses of in the past. He's number 3 in the World 9-Ball Tour rankings, and just having turned 30, he's in his playing prime. What do you think?
I think you put me on the spot here, and I'm going to have a Facebook message from one of these two guys if I don't answer this question the right way. But certainly Sky has had some great success, not just this year, but really going back the last several years. Most folks, really memorable moments for Sky being the 2018-2019 Moscone Cup, where he was the MVP and literally just kind of went in, dominated, made the difference for Team USA. So I think, to your question, for me, I have to consider what event are we talking about, right? If it's Moscone Cup, I'm going to give you that. I'm going to say Sky is my number one pick for the Moscone Cup. We're talking about some of the individual competitions. It's hard for me to pick against SVB and his experience, his history. He's got a world championship. He's got multiple U.S. Open titles. But it's just interesting when you think about the difference in the events, right? Sky really rises to the moment in the crowd of the Moscone Cup, whereas Shane has openly talked about, he likes to switch the hearing aid off, so he's not really hearing the crowd as much. So, for me, it depends on what event, but, I'd like to see Sky kind of get over that hump, win one of these big titles, whether it's the European Open in August or maybe even his first U.S. Open title, before I would unseat Captain America there. But, I think it's fair to call them kind of a 1A and 1B, if you will. I don't want to take anything from either of them, but they've just had different types of success. But Shane is, like you said, a generational talent, and hopefully Sky becomes that.
Yeah, we're looking for the next Shane, right? That's what we want to see. That's what we hope for as Americans. And Sky is 30, but there's still plenty of time for him to have, a decade where he just becomes the dominant American player.
Hard to believe Shane turned 40
this year.
Wow.
And he's still, a threat to win any tournament he's in.
Sure.
And he always tends to go deep. The bugaboo is Sky, who, as we even got in the interview, is a little bit of a slow starter at times. You don't get many chances in these big events.
Right.
So, he's had a tendency to go out a little earlier than expected. Now this year, though, he's starting to make those deep runs. He's starting to get more comfortable with it. And, it's a case of, I want to see the next great American player take the bull by the horns and run with it.
Absolutely.
I don't want to see someone back into being the best American player because Shane stops playing, right? I want to see someone really take over. And I think Sky's got that talent. He's always had that talent. It's just taken him a little longer than we thought it was going to be. But I think that, this year, he's certainly showing the promise of being that, that real front runner, and waiting to see how he does in these last big events of the year.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Again, both of them pairing up here in the World Cup of Pool. Would love to see them come out on top of that one. Won't help our debate here necessarily if they do that, but still a few events. And again, we would expect both those players to be headliners on this year's Team USA for sure. So what else you got for us this week, Mike?
Well, let's talk Moscone Cup. Based on recent events, it's hard to believe that Sky Woodward, Shane Van Boening, Shane Wolford, and Tyler Steyer haven't pretty much pinned down spots on Team USA for the 2023 Moscone Cup. But it's that fifth spot that looks wide open. It's going to be a case to me of who really wants it most. Currently, the hunt looks like it's between Moscone Cup veteran Billy Thorpe, North Carolina's B.J. Ussery, young Lucas Fracasso Werner, and perhaps, a slow runner like a Hunter Lombardo type player. If one of those players can go out there and win a significant title here in the U.S., or maybe crack a final 16 in the international major like the U.S. Open, it would go a long way towards, making your statement that you should be part of that squad.
It's an interesting conversation. We looked at the point standings for the Moscone Cup for Team Europe and Team USA, and talked about how difficult it would be for a Team Europe captain to choose from all these options. And here we are putting ourselves in the position of a Team USA captain and trying to figure out who do we get for that fifth pick. And you mentioned some of the candidates. One that you didn't mention that I want to mention is Oscar Dominguez. He was there last year. He's been on multiple Moscone Cup teams. I always find him to be kind of a calming, level-headed presence, but it seems like he is not necessarily in the conversation this year because he's maybe not playing as much.
Yeah, he's had some life changes in terms of, having just recently bought a house. He's got his business in Sacramento, his pool room. And so I think he started the year wanting to take a run at the Moscone Cup, but I think he's kind of backed off a little bit onto taking care of business at home and his family. He's still a solid player and would be consideration for any captain as a wild card pick. But I think that he kind of has to earn an automatic spot for him to get on there this year, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, so the guy that I'm looking towards, and is one that you mentioned, but so we've talked about Shane Wolford and the fact that he's likely going to make Team USA as a rookie first time. Of course, we know this year's Moscone Cup being held in London,
Yep.
Alexandra Palace, really crazy environment. And so if you've got one rookie, for me, I'm looking for experience.
Right.
I'm looking for a player that's been there before. And so for me, that's Billy Thorpe. I know he played in both the UK Open earlier this month. He played in the World Championships earlier this
Right.
year, I believe, as well. Did not play in the Spanish Open,
Correct.
the most recent event. But for me, he was there in 2018 when Team USA goes into Ali Pali, pulls this huge upset. So he's been there before. He was there in 2019 in Las Vegas
Played
when they defended their title. So he's been on 2 winning teams. He's been there before, and I like that experience, especially playing in London in front of that crowd, because there is nothing that can prepare these guys for that moment
Right.
other than having done it. And so if you got Shane Wolford, a rookie, I want Billy Thorpe there for the experience.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. It's just a matter, I want to see Billy Thorpe out there playing more.
Sure.
I want to see him make a couple medium runs. I want to feel, he's got that experience, but I want to feel like he's in stroke. I don't know that I've seen that this year. And if he's just not in stroke, then I'd probably consider taking a rookie to start to get someone the experience who is going to stay in stroke.
A second
rookie,
yeah.
like a Lucas Fracasso, Werner, someone like that. But, you don't know. It's all going to be up to the captains. And as we know, we have no idea who the captains are going to be. As you know, we don't know.
Right.
Right. So we'll have to see what happens once the captains are picked, because that'll go a long way to kind of figuring out how they're thinking in terms of those wild card spots.
Now, do you have any idea on a timeline for Moscone Cup captains to be announced? I know you talked to Emily and the folks at Matchroom quite a bit. Any indication on when news may come down on who's going to actually be making these decisions? Because I know it's not going to be either one of us, at least that we know of.
Generally, I get told to mind my own business, and they'll tell me when they're ready to tell me. But I think that, they're in no rush to announce the captains, because their philosophy is that the captains aren't as important as they used to be as far as preparation for the teams go.
Yes.
So they're willing to wait a little bit longer to name the captains. But, we're fans. We want to know who's leading the charge. And I'm sure the players like to know too, because they'd like to know where they sit. They kind of have an idea where they might sit with a Jeremy Jones. They might have an idea where they might sit with another, potential captain. So I think that, I'd certainly rather find out sooner than later.
Right. Absolutely. Well, there's still a lot of pool to be played, a lot of events to happen. We mentioned the European Open upcoming. What other events do we have on the calendar, Mike?
Well, we've got the World Cup of Pool, which is going on right now. The women play their biggest event of the year, the WPBA Soaring Eagle Masters in Michigan in mid-July. That's on the WPBA live stream. The European Open Championship on DAZN, middle of August. We've got Turning Stone coming up. And then the Predator Billiard Tour brings the Michigan Open men's division and women's division in mid-September. So, there's a fair amount coming up. Lots to look forward to, lots of places to watch the action.
Yeah.
So it should be pretty exciting.
Good news for the professional pool players out there. Even better news for us fans of watching professional pool. There's a lot happening and a lot still to happen this year. So
Yeah, a lot going on.
Absolutely.
But that's going to do it for us today. We appreciate your being with us. Thanks, Jason.
Sure. Thanks for having me, as always.
May all your shots be hangers, and we look forward to seeing you next time on Billiards Digest Live.